All right, welcome here to talk about Washington Capitals relocating. Here comes my dog. Wearing the Oakland A's hat because it looks like they potentially might be the next team in professional sports to relocate, pending what happens with the Arizona Coyotes. So we'll see. Again, kind of just an update. If you didn't know, there's a proposal from the ownership group of the Washington Capitals and Washington Wizards to relocate from downtown DC, District of Columbia, to Alexandria, Virginia. Probably 20 minutes south by car. Nothing too crazy. I made a video on my whole opinion and kind of laying down why people are unhappy, why people might be happy. Essentially, what it comes down to is the ownership group that runs the Capitals, Wizards, Mystics, Hershey Bears, I think. There's a bunch of things they own. Comes down to money, profits. It's a business, right? It's a business at the end of the day. By moving to Virginia, they're getting a lot more taxpayer money than if they were to stay in their current location. Right, I think we're talking about right now it's $100 million difference, which in retrospect isn't much for one of these things, but in reality, $100 million it's quite a bit of money. DC came up with this counter offer like, hey, $500 million if you stay in your current location. We're gonna enforce this lease and make you pay to break it, right? So there's more money. I forget what that fee is. Might be another, maybe it's like 10 million or 100 million or something, right? That's more lost money on top. The governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin's like, hey, we need a professional sports team. Here's $600 million for you. And here's a great location. We'll get the ball rolling out, put political pressure on. Monumental Sports was like, which is the ownership group, was like, sure, let's do it. So kind of for a few reasons. First, they can kind of consolidate their operations, right? I think they have an office in Arlington, Virginia. They have one in Capital One Arena. I think they have one near Capital One Arena. It was kind of hard to find their locations. I'm not quite sure if they have any others. Couldn't find a whole lot. Didn't dive too much into it. Quick couple Google searches. Didn't tell me much. Their website, pretty vague. But essentially, they want to consolidate their operations into one building, which I guess makes sense. So, building a new arena from scratch is going to cost more money. We know this, rather than renovating their current arena, which is in pretty good condition, honestly. So, why? At the end of the day, they're going to have to spend more money. Even with the higher influx in taxpayer money to move to Virginia. Why? Land ownerships and profits. It's purely a business move at the end of the day. With the location in Alexandria, Virginia, which is Potomac Yards, they will not just be acquiring the land that the arena will sit on, but a lot of the surrounding land, which they'll use to develop essentially a new district, right? Kind of a eating, drinking, sports district, if you will. We see those pop up quite often now for a very good reason. They're very profitable. So this is something ownership can go out, build all this property, then lease it out for a premium because you're going to get foot traffic because it's a destination for not just a sporting event, but now it's potentially just a destination in general. Maybe you get like a nice restaurant in there or something, right? People go out of their way to go to Potomac Yards in Alexandria now. So, because that happens, you can charge a pretty good amount for rent and so on and events and all that crap, which means a lot more long-term profits and a lot more year-round profits, right? You have concerts and monster truck rallies and stuff in the winter. Well, now you're not just profiting from the arena, you're also profiting from these restaurants, these I don't know, pool halls or whatever, bowling alleys, whatever they want to build around it. So it's all about the money. That's kind of what it comes down to in most decisions in the U.S. is businesses trying to get more profit at the end of the day. It's purely what this is about. There's not really any benefit to moving to Alexandria other than the long-term financial profits there could potentially be. Again, I'm on the Maryland side of Virginia. Like, personally, I don't really go out of my way to go into downtown DC now to see Capitals game, but I definitely won't be going out of my way at all to go to Alexandria, which is in another, you got to cross through my part of Maryland, DC, and Virginia, unless you want to take the Beltway loop around it, which is going to take a lot longer. I was looking at Google Maps today. It's right, not ideal. So what is the status of this project? Well, we all know the governor was like, hey, you got to come here. We need you. We need a professional sports team. The Commanders thing hasn't really fallen through yet. We lost the FBI headquarters to Maryland. Like, we'll give you money if you bring your 2 sports teams to Virginia. $600 million and some sweet property, oceanfront property, or not oceanfront, riverfront. It's kind of a big, I don't know. It's kind of where a couple or a river splits. So there's a lot of water, almost like oceanfront property, but not quite. The House, so if you're not familiar with how state politics works, the states are very similar to the federal government. Every state has a House and a Senate and a governor, or they all have override and veto systems and all that stuff. So the bill to approve this new arena district just got approved from the House either today or yesterday. Just happened. The Senate, right, was like, they're considering this bill dead on arrival. They don't want to spend that much money to help a business become more profitable, right? And you can pin this any way you want. Democrats, Republicans fighting, politics versus the common person fighting. It doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, people need to work together to get things done. The Senate doesn't want to spend that kind of money to bring professional sports teams over, purely because of the motivation of increasing profits. So we'll see if they can come to some type of solution. If the Senate and the House and the governor can't all work together, this isn't going to happen. It needs to be approved through the Virginia state legislature. And if it's not, again, it's not happening. Should it be approved, that's when we'll start to see things kind of come to fruition. There'll be more public outreach meetings. If there's enough blowback from the community in Alexandria and from the local politicians, which happens a lot in this area, more so than I experienced growing up in Massachusetts, that's when we could see things like a public vote and so a little more red tape. So even if it passes the Senate, it's not a done deal. There's still several more steps to go before they can really start constructing. Some of the buildings are already demolished. The land, I don't know who owns it at this point, but maybe Monumental Sports has already purchased the land. I'm not familiar. I'm not sure with that. But there are a lot of things that will need to be done and resolved prior to the building opening. For starters, the metro system, they're a big part of the plan to kind of push this Potomac Yards idea was, hey, there's a metro stop here that needs a little bit of renovating, but and metro being subway, hey, we can make this work. When in reality, when analysis were done, the metro station was not able to nearly handle, it wasn't able to handle big events like that. It needs incredible, a lot of renovations. So they did an analysis. I think it was, say, 10,000 people end up using the subway after a Capitals game, right? And you can expect sometimes around 60,000 people there for an event, given it's a district. These numbers were taken from other various districts, right? You got Boston North Station, where the Bruins play and the Celtics play. That was taken as an example, North Station. There were others as well. It didn't seem viable, right? So, and to renovate a metro station, it takes millions more dollars. Those are not cheap. You're gonna have to add fare gates. You're gonna have to add landing pads and what's it called? You're gonna have to widen the concourses, and it's essentially taking a bare bones station and really amping it up, which is not a cheap thing to do. It's why we don't see it too often. That's why the subway stations in Boston, especially on the red line, to get them up to ADA compliance was such a big deal and such an expensive and long-term project, right? Because it wasn't just, for ADA compliance, sometimes you need hallways to be a certain width, and then you need a certain width plus to accommodate the walking volume that may be going faster than somebody in a wheelchair. So you need to keep expanding those hallways. So we're going to see a lot of, I'm struggling to speak lately. We're going to see a lot more issues come up should this continue to progress. Personally, my position is I'm happy with them in DC. I like the area they're in. I like the arena. I like the district. I like the accessibility. It's right in the middle of the metro. I think it's called, oh no, yeah, it's Chinatown Gallery Place you can get off at. Or, what is it, Judiciary Place or something? Couple metro stops. But I think it's in a great location for transit accessibility. I think this location makes it a little more difficult. And that's kind of why I prefer to have them stay where they are. It's a lot easier for me to go see the Capitals play where they are than figuring out how to get to Potomac Yards. So that's kind of I just wanted to kind of provide an update, maybe a little bit of background, a little bit of digging. It's, I get this in the news every once in a while because I live in the DC area, right? And this is where I live and work. So it's stuff like this is always coming up. Governor approved, House approved, Senate. It will get to the Senate today or tomorrow, and it's considered dead on arrival. We'll see. There's reasons and stuff given. Again, financial viability. Use of taxpayer monies given to private corporations to increase their wealth, right? So we'll see what happens. I'm sure the Monumental Sports Group may not necessarily be as willing to move if that $600 million was taken back and DC's still offering the $500 million plus you don't have to pay for the lease buyout penalty or whatever. But will that be enough? I'm sure they'll have business people and calculators trying to determine, will the long-term profits outweigh the short-term costs of moving to Virginia even without that taxpayer dollar? We'll see. So again, live in the area, get a lot of updates. Just kind of wanted to provide a general overview. That's all I got for this. I appreciate you all. Take care, all right?